Well, being debt-free sounds ideal, but the real question isn't whether you have debt, it's how that debt fits into your overall income strategy. Do you need to be debt-free before you retire? I don't know all the answers, but Colin Evans does. He's finally back with us here with Evans Financial Group. And Colin, first of all, very nice to see you.
Glad to be back.
I'm really glad to have you. So, okay, we're talking, as I mentioned, debt-free going into retirement. Ideal, but oftentimes not.
You know, I'll kind of get into why we frame this around this, because not all debt is really created equal. And what we mean by that is if you're really thinking about debt and your personal household income and family money, that 3, 4, 5% mortgage is not the same as that 24, 25% credit card debt. Those are two radically different things, and that low interest rate fixed debt can actually be managed, especially when you put a solid income plan in place. So liquidity is one that can really matter more than payoff. And what we mean by this is when we see quite a bit happen, and either in retirement, maybe a job layoff close to the retirement time frame, and a question comes up is, should I pay off my house so I don't have a house note? What happens in that point is really this kind of eliminates what we call an opportunity cost, but paying off this debt is allowing you, one, it allows a little bit more of the financial freedom that you have immediately. However, in a long-term scenario, in the event that funds are needed or in a greater amount, they could be all tied up in the house. This might not always be a good thing. It might be a little bit easier to manage this with a plan. However, emotional comfort sometimes versus financial efficiency can sometimes trump that, because peace of mind is also a big deal. And sometimes that no payments can equal a little bit of that peace of mind. But the biggest thing we want to put in place is putting an actual true income plan in place. It really beats kind of chasing these goals and keeping that sustainability when you're fighting debt and you're into those retirement years. Because we've got really the opportunity of good debt versus bad debt when we're looking at comparing that mortgage as well as we're looking at the credit cards and going into the retirement time. Putting a plan in place when it comes to debt and having that strategy put into place might leverage that retirement a little bit easier and give that path a little bit smoother ride.
And I like what you said about the emotional comfort, right? That's got to be a huge deal, especially in retirement where, we mentioned it last week, every day is Saturday. You want to live as comfortably as you can.
You really do. And what's one of the few things too, when we really relate debt with mortgages and with credit cards, a mortgage is one that inflation works in your favor, and a lot of people don't understand that. And just a quick example on that is I met with a couple, this was 20 years ago, and I specifically recall that they lived in Bossier and they had about 5 years left on their house payment. And their house note was like $280 a month. I was going, this is unbelievable. But they're year 25 of a 30-year mortgage. They only had but when they bought it, when they did that in about 1980, that was a much bigger number then for them. But as they got to 25 years later, that $280 a month for a house note, that was not a big deal anymore.
Right. Well, it was like you never left. You nailed it. If folks want to get a touch of you for any of these topics, what do they do?
Absolutely. You can find us on the web at evansfinancial.com or kick an email over to us at info@evansfinancial.com.
Colin Evans, the best. Let's go to Patrick.